Hello. We're going to take a look here today at the Dreambook goal setting system and the planner. It's by Dragontree company, and it's a wonderful alternative, as I personally think, to Power Sheets. I'm coming back to it after trying it for the first time in 2016. A lot of things have changed since then, so let's take a look together. So at first, let me just show you what actually came in the package. I ordered the goal setting and planner system itself. You can see it right here. Mine is white. There was also a dark blue and like a lilac shade of pink also available. I liked those other two very much. I ordered white. And you can probably almost not see in the camera, but there is an embossing of design that represents the Dreambook, and it says Dreambook and Planner around that design. Also, I got some cards that talk about where you can join their community, where you can take additional classes for learning how to use that system in depth if you need to. The community, the classes, a wonderful thank you note from the creators of the planner, and finally what I personally got, and this is not what everybody must get. This is the cover. The cover fits perfectly this spiral bound planner. They also have just a book binding option, and they have two different types of covers for each. Now within that type of cover that I needed for the spiral, this is the one I chose because it was on an incredible sale. It was less than 50% of the original price, and I thought that was such a wonderful option that I couldn't pass it by, even though that wasn't really my choice of the design. But I thought, well, I might actually go ahead and customize it. So this is what I got. The design is called Mandala. It's not terrible, it's just not my favorite. For the full price you could have really stunning and beautiful options of covers. So this is what I got. I'm going to set these things aside for a moment, and we're going to take a look at the planner itself. So let's start with the binding. The binding is your regular wire roll. I do not love this kind of binding. In fact, it's probably my least favorite, but I have to say that this one is nice and roomy. So should you want to do some decorative planning, you have plenty space to bulk up this book, and I think the wire is still going to be withstand that. So this is nice. As far as wire goes, it feels like it's not flimsy like some other planners have it, so I am pretty happy with that. The cover is sort of a chipboard, very sturdy, but it doesn't have any kind of pockets, not in the front, not in the back. Now, if you purchase a cover, the cover's flaps will create pockets for you. I'm going to show how that works, but I'm sure you can imagine. And let's dive into the content, because really what I got this planner for and where it really shines is its content, its goal planning system. All right, so the first page has everything you need to know about the company, all of its social media and handles, and then we dive right into all the information you need. So like I said, here we dive in straight into the theory behind the planner, all the things that the creators believe will help us really implement this system well. It tells us how the book works and what's the whole idea based on, which is the meaningful rituals that help you set up a mindful life, if that doesn't sound too ambitious. And you see right here in the corner, I already have a pen test. Why do I already have a pen test? Well, because this is the second time I'm filming the video. Around the holidays, I got a new camera, which I was really happy about. However, it didn't live up to the expectations. I have already returned it. I'm back to filming on my phone. And the camera is, well, all the footage I got on that camera, let's say, is not usable. And the first time I tried to film this review was part of that footage. So let's dive in further. I will go back to this pen test because I don't need to do it again. I probably, in fact, need to apologize to this planner because of the way the first review went. So there is another reason I'm not using it. Stay tuned for that. As many planners do, this one is having you consider your life in different, they're different for every planning system, but generally there are several specific areas like wellness, mental health, relationships, and so on. For this specific planner, the 6 areas are physical wellness, psychological and spiritual health, creation, exploration and play, community connection, livelihood, career and influence, relationship and family. So why I like that right off the bat for a small business is because livelihood, career and influence fits all kinds of different income streams, so to say, or occupations that we can choose as small business owners. Sometimes the career is not exactly what we do if we are more of a creator type of a business. And I think livelihood just in general fits that category really well. And some of us are influencers or aspiring influencers, and so this sort of being acknowledged here as a type of occupation, I like that a lot. I like also community connections being broken out because those are very important in every entrepreneur's life. And the rest probably are just great and common sense categories for anybody using this book. Then it has you go through this whole guided goal setting framework. And here, as you can see, when I'm turning the pages, I'm already not enjoying the viral. I'm going to show you once again. Here we go. I kind of have to make sure that they lay nice and flat, but at the same time, I'm pretty sure once I am in the middle of the book, this is no longer really a problem. Still a problem if you turn page by page, but don't let me get too far ahead of myself. Let's just take a quick look at the goal setting system. I'm not going to do in detail review of the goal setting system because I would rather do another video that walks you through step by step. What I'm going to do here is highlight the things that I think are really useful and purposeful about this goal setting system. So it helps you to discover your core values and gifts, which then lead to the discovery of your purpose. And once you have determined what that is, you can start doing vision boards and kind of dream your dreams in different areas of life as specified before, answering those guided questions to kind of help yourself see what could be your goals in each of those areas. So you go through 13 questions. Let me see, they are not the same for each area, and that is actually super meaningful because they have created guided questions that specifically fit an area of life that you're talking about, and by answering those specific questions you can better figure out for yourself what it is that you might be lacking or what it is that you're striving for towards in this particular area of life. So then, once we have all of that sort of prep work done, we start actually charting some goals. The goals system planning is sort of like a mind map. Right here they have an explanation and an example, and that's another thing I really like about that planner. You have plenty of examples of what you're actually supposed to do. They are not binding, you don't have to do it this way, but it's an example of how it could work, which is a nice illustration to the explanation. So here in the shape of mind map, we set up some goals for 1 year, 3 years, 10 years from now, and lifetime, kind of like the most ultimate goals that you would like to accomplish before your time on this planet runs to an end. Then they want you to start breaking down some of the goals. The important part is that they only want you to choose 3 goals from each mind map. And then those 3, the most important 3 goals, you're gonna start implementing, gonna start trying to achieve by first breaking them down into separate steps and milestones. So again, here we have an example, and then here we have space to write down the goal, 3 goals for 1 year, 3 goals for 3 years, and then you start breaking them down into steps and milestones. And you do that also for the 3 most important 10-year goals and lifetime goals that you picked out. Then you start creating rituals. Rituals is a very different concept for this specific planner system. It's not like a ceremony or anything like that. It's a habit, I might say, or a setting that will reinforce that habit. If you read the Atomic Habits book, it talks at length about how good habits are formed. It talks about different cues, for example, that we can set up that will make whatever we want to implement easy, what will make it obvious, what will make it rewarding. Basically, ritual, as they explain it, accomplishes a lot of this in one, by creating the environment and steps and specific time where you're going to consider where you're going to feel the most likely to succeed. And here is a list of cues. They are all kind of leaning towards self-care activities, like light a candle or a fireplace, or have a favorite cup of coffee, or go to the woods, to the beach, to even put on a special necklace or a shawl. Anything that will help you create that ritual that empowers your success. Whatever you have set up to be so not ceremonious but so deliberate is much more likely to succeed than something that you're trying to fit in whenever without really giving a thought to whenever that is going to be. So the setup for you to use this book successfully is the ritual they're talking about here. They also have rituals for living, which use the same concept to accomplish actual specific goals and develop habits in your life. So let's go to the plan. What will I accomplish this year? So we have a ritual for planning, for using this book already developed, and we work during that time and in that specific setting in order to complete the rest of the work. The rest of the work is not so global. It's no longer looking into your lifetime goals, for example. It is focusing on this specific year. And I'm terribly behind because I needed to film this review, so I haven't filled any of this out, but I will. I'll get on it. So what I will accomplish this year. You have created the mind maps. You have picked 3 goals that are specifically for this year, but you shouldn't just look at those, because you could have a lifetime goal for which one of the milestones falls within this year. Like you want to complete your advanced degree, for example, but you have planned for yourself that it would be really nice to actually enroll this year. So it's a lifetime goal, but because one of the steps falls within this year, you're gonna put it here. You're gonna organize them by project and put them all on the list, regardless of order, just kind of like you find it on the mind map, you put it down. But then you will try to give them some sort of order, because some of them are actually tied to a particular event or a milestone or a deadline, so you can give them a specific quarter that they belong to. And if they are not already bound to a specific date, then maybe you have set up when would you like to have them complete, then put that there. And of course you can adjust that if you have overloaded certain quarter. Like I, for example, I tend to totally overload first quarter because everything seems urgent and everything needs to be done now. And so if you happened to accidentally do that, you can see it here very clearly and adjust it accordingly. So now we are going to the theme of the year. This is a little bit more broad than the word of the year, but the idea is the same. You are creating a theme that is going to remind you about all of your goals, that is going to be a directional arrow, so to say, which you're going to follow towards your dreams and ambitions. And because it's a theme and not a word, we can say something like letting go of the struggle, or silencing my gremlins, or living wholeheartedly, or growing my influence. I don't know, whichever practical or very woo-woo or spiritual or mindfulness goal you may have, it can go here as a theme. If I were picking out the theme, it would probably all end up sounding something very generic and kind of leaning spiritual, just because I'm not really used to having a theme. I have picked out a word going with the power sheet system for a long time, and that's why when you want to pick one word for your whole entire year, that usually ends up something more, you know, spiritual, moral, relational, something like that for me. So then we go to how to work your plan, and as you can see in a pretty small print, we have a ton of information. We have different ways how to work with the plan. And now we kind of repeat the previous process where we are taking the projects and writing them down, assigning them a quarter. We now do this for quarter one. We will only pick out those that are assigned to quarter one already and assign them to a specific month. And again, here you can also see if you have maybe overloaded one month as you go, and you can adjust as you go. And then the ones that you assigned to January, you carry over to this January project breakdown. Now you actually write down the project and get very granular here. We go down from projects now to specific project steps. If you are familiar with the Kanban board, on Kanban board, these could be your specific sticky notes that you're going to move from to be done, to being done, and to then being complete. If you follow that system, especially in your business, this is going to be a great way to track your progress, to actually see what you're supposed to be doing in this month on every specific project. I find this ideal for having a proper prep work done for Kanban board. And if you are using that system and you appreciate how effective that is, then you will appreciate how helpful this specific planning step is. So they do it then for every month, for the 3 months that are included in this first quarter. And then we start going straight with the weeklies. And we have here again an example. It shows you exactly what the pages look like. Their alignment is 2 spreads per week. And so here you have example of exactly how those 2 spreads look. So here the first one is sort of again pre-planning for the week. You have your habit tracking, but you don't do tracking here. This is truly the pre-planning for the tracking. You decide which one of these shapes is going to represent which habit, and then you do the actual tracking under each day on this weekly more familiar spread. You decide on your top 3 goals here. You decide your focus, which is not exactly, some people might say this is redundant, and I might even agree, but I'm sure with a little bit of thinking we can decide how they're different and use them purposefully. Then there is a little bit of the weekly review, wins from last week, how we'll reframe something that was difficult or painful or stressful, and how we'll create more freedom in my life this week. Now, in a way, the way those questions are worded was a little bit rubbing me in a bit of a wrong way, because they are pushing you almost towards this positive outlook bordering on maybe toxic positivity, but then again, in a way, reframing your experiences in somewhat more positive terms is actually helpful, unless they are the type of trauma or grief that you just have to sit down and allow yourself to grieve. But regular day-to-day occurrences, again, business setbacks, probably will benefit from, at least in my life, from adding a little bit of positivity into me looking at them, into seeing how I could grow from this experience, how I could actually reframe them as something that helps me grow, and how I can take those lessons and implement them in the next week. Because let us hope that not every week, and far from every week, we have something so distressful happening that that type of review will qualify as toxic positivity. Here they have rituals for thriving, and they have a whole big list of suggestions. They repeat themselves week to week. They are pre-printed. And what you're going to do is that for upcoming week, you're just going to quickly check mark which ones would you actually implement this coming week. So you have, for example, here of all the list, people chose exercise, meditation, technology break. So they are, again, they're sort of self-care items that would be probably difficult to complete them all, but you can realistically pick a few that will help you balance yourself and ground yourself and have a successful week. Then this is an empty page that they filled it with ideas and doodles and different checklists, and you have total freedom. On a regular week, this is just an empty dot grid page, and what you do here is whatever you like to do. If you like to have a, for example, very detailed habit tracker, tracking more than these 4 things that they give you a special tool for, go ahead, create that tracker here. You can have different lists, you can have additional to-do lists, because right here they have room for tasks, but that might not be enough for everybody. So maybe steps for a specific project or some notes, or I mean, I like what they did here. I may even go as far as to say I love it, but will I use it that way? Probably not. What I will probably have is a metric ton of to-dos and trackers, mixture of both. We'll see how that goes. I also have a bullet journal, so there is a very real danger that I will not use this page at all, because I already have a spread in bullet journal for every week that has that sort of thing, different trackers. And would I be able to fit it all on one page? Probably not. I have a full A5 spread in the bullet journal, so that might take some brainstorming on my part to figure out how exactly I will use this. However, the freedom of having this is really helpful, in my opinion. If anything, the notes themselves that I take in many different planners, they could all find their home here, and that would be fine too. Tasks. So this is the next spread, and this is the spread that is familiar to a lot of paper planner folk. This is your regular vertical week. So they have tasks with monthly plan, incomplete tasks from last week, life duties, meaning different chores, and you put a star by your most important tasks like they did here. I like the idea of breaking out incomplete ones, and then I guess you pull projects from your monthly plan for this specific week, and if you didn't accomplish them within this specific week, they will show up in the next week as incomplete. Then we go to the days. The days have equal width and equal size for each day of the week. So Saturday, Sunday are not cheated and made to share any space, so that is nice. Each day is identical. It is the dated calendar, so the dated planner. So you have the date on top, then you have day of the week. It is Monday start, which I love. You have intention at the top. Then you have play space for your schedule, but in reality, you could put to-dos here, you could put mixture of both. It doesn't tell you that this has to be your schedule, morning and afternoon. This is just how they specifically use that in the example here. So in the middle, supposedly in the lunchtime, there is sort of a question that helps you focus and consider how your day is going. What shall I be focused on, for example, on Monday? Or on Friday, how do I affect my world? So it's kind of a prompt question for when you have a minute to pause and focus and work with your planner. And then at the bottom, for in the end of each day, you have time to write, you have space to write down what you are thankful for. And for me, this was a Freudian slip because I have space. I just maybe don't have time, but hopefully I will. And then here are the 4 tasks that you are tracking for your habit tracker. Here you can either just check mark them, or if you're measuring something specific, for example, you have your running time or your exercise minutes, you can put that down inside that check mark space. So this is it. I'm hoping that I can sticker and decorate that like a lot of people usually do their weekly spreads. In fact, this also lends itself wonderfully to doodles, as you can see. So it could be a planner where you let your creativity flow as well as just plan. This is really a planner to go deep if you want to, and to be creative if you want to, and also it works without doing either. If you just follow the steps, I think your goal planning can be already very intentional and deliberate without following a specific religious or philosophic topic, or going deeper into the areas where you may not want to go to. If you want this to be strictly income, financial, and business planner, if you wanted that to be this, it will serve you too. I'm pretty confident that it could. And the questions that you answer, yes, the prep work, if you're going to do it seriously, then some introspection and answering some deeper question is not avoidable, but for me personally, that is always beneficial. So I think that this is actually a good small business planner. So now we jump to Year at a Glance. Oh, I did not miss. There was just not that page here previously, but it is here. So we do have, before we start the weeklies for January, we have this wonderful January calendar spread. All right, well, with me not using it, I'll have to figure out some other use for it. I would say you can put your gratitude in here, but they have already daily space for gratitude. You can do memory keeping in here, and you can of course use it as exactly what it intended for if you don't have any other planner that already serves you for that. I have, so I'll have to kind of creatively find that page and new purpose. And then we go into weekly, which we have already reviewed. There is weeklies until January is over with, and then you go into February. And there are quite a few pages before you get to February because, well, for every page you get, for every week you get 2 spreads. So that's why. And so here we have February, and here we begin with February weeks, and again 2 spreads per week. Provides for kind of hefty planner. Once you go through the entire first quarter, I'm right now in March, you get to overview, which is life's edits. So you kind of have a chance to go back to your goals and maybe edit or nix or adjust anything that needs to be, because life is happening and life is changing. Then we're going to do the same assignment to the projects that are designated for Q2, we will assign them to a specific month, trying to keep that balanced and minding how our life works in those specific months. And then we're going to take each project that is assigned for a specific month and do the breakdown. You do the breakdown for the entire quarter right away, so you have all the projects for the quarter broken down, ready for your Kanban board or your to-do lists. And then we jump into the calendar page, yes, and 2 spreads per week. So once we go through the whole entire year, what I'm hoping I'm going to see here is a very good reflection system, because this is what some of the planners and goal setting systems kind of cut short. So let me go and take a closer look with you at what is going to happen once we are through the last week of the year. All right, so here we go with the reflection. Some guiding questions and plenty of space to answer them for the year. Then here we have a list that you can keep throughout the year of ideas for the goals that, as they say, someday maybe, not something that you want to immediately jump on, but also not something that you want to completely forget. Items to add to next year's plan. So this is what's definitely worth pursuing. And then you get plenty of note-taking space. There are quotes from the book that they have also published, the Very Life book, and that gives you some prompts if you want to journal here, but I see it personally as ample note space whenever you are out of the space that they gave you per specific week. And finally, at the end, there is a love note from the creators of the planner, and you're done. Now, if you're familiar with Viro, you know perfectly well that I will not be able to close this in this direction. The only way to close the book now is to do this. And that's one of the several reasons why this type of binding is not my favorite. However, I decided that I was going to give it a try. What I did not know, and what was another surprise, is the paper. The paper is really super smooth. It is absolutely glossy. And I'm usually not a fan of that kind of paper because everything and anything smears. So last review, which I was unable to use because of how the new camera did not work out for me. In the last review, I also, throughout the whole review, gripe about the paper because I was so surprised and taken aback by it. But at the end, I had to swallow my words because I did this pen test with all the pens that I use. And I use almost solely Friction. There's Friction Slim, there's Friction Clicker, there's Friction Marker, and even Friction Highlighter. I tried all of this out, and to be honest with you, it did not smear. I took it, I flipped it to see whether there was any bleed through or shading. I went back and nothing was smeared. Now the marker kind of got absorbed unevenly, and even as it was laying down, you can see those little drops, dots, whatever, because as the paper is so slick, it pushes the ink and leaves a little pool of it at the end of the stroke. So let's just say This is the paper that you might have to look for a pen that works perfectly with it. However, out of all of my pens that I already have and already want to use, everything worked perfectly. Nothing smeared just in a short time while I was flipping back and forth. And as I was flipping to check for shading, shadowing, and bleed through, I have seen none of that. Now, I'm sure if you have a heavy marker, something like a Sharpie will probably bleed through because the paper is not thick. Unfortunately, I do not know the exact GSM weight of it, but I do not know if the coating alone prevents something so heavy saturated as a Sharpie marker from going through. I do not have those on hand because in all of my planners I use frictions. I just love the ability to erase. And so over the time I phased out anything that didn't give me that ability. However, I have a variety of frictions in a variety of widths and even variety of purposes, and even this friction highlighter did not leave any type of shadow or bleed. So then I wanted to say, okay, now let's really put it to the test. And I said to test, and I wrote in my regular friction, and then in a thicker friction clicker I wrote the word test, and then immediately went to wipe it. The word test right here, written with friction slim, wiped off almost completely, as you can see. In fact, the other one would probably wipe off completely as well if I went immediately for it, but I went immediately first for this one, and so that one had a blink of an eye to dry. And I want to say this is a good thing for this kind of glossy paper. If it only takes a blink of an eye, well, I'm gonna try my hardest to not smear what I just wrote for a blink of an eye. Can I do it for a blink of an eye? Well, let's hope I can, because I am very excited about this planner. I am going to use it. I am going to do all the prep work. The way things are going, because it took me a while to film this review, I almost completely missed the boat with January. So I'm going to go ahead and start using January weeklies next week while I work on the prep work, and then the actual projects and steps and things like that will organically join in starting February. So would I recommend this planner? If you can stand the glossy paper and the wire roll binding, most definitely. And even if you think you might find those things a bit irritating, we are in the same boat. I am giving it a try, and you might be interested in giving it a try as well. If you are curious to see how the goal setting itself works, I might not film my entire process, but I might do a flip through. Let me know in the comments if this is something you're interested in. And I'm definitely going to film at least 1 or 2 plan with me's for the week, because I'm excited to figure out for myself how I'm going to use this new and different spread, and how I'm going to use traditional stickers and ways of decorating in this spread as well. So stay tuned. I hope you enjoyed this, and I'm going to, before I click out, really quickly put in a quick demonstration of how the cover fits and how that works out. So this is the cover on. Like I said, once you slide the actual planner's cover into this slip-on cover, that gives you pockets that you can use on both sides for, say, stickers or notes or whatever you need. It has one ribbon bookmark, which is super helpful. There's usually no bookmark options unless you start using you know, with the bound planners. There's usually, especially wire bound planners, there's usually no way to attach a bookmark unless you actually have one on your own and you just tie it to the wire, which I have done in the past. I think that one is enough, although once they have started with the idea of providing us some, they could give us 2 ribbons, and then one could go on your current week and another one could go on your project list for the month, from where you're going to pull for the weekly to-do lists for the tasks right here. But just an idea. I might still, you know, use like a magnetic type of bookmark and put it there, and that will be perfectly fine. And then also what you get is a pen loop and this clasp closure. So yes, let's pay attention to the wire row. This is how we close the book, and we have it closed. Now we can button it shut. This is their company logo, and overall I love this cover. I find that it might be even better for me just because of how it feels. This has a cloth linen type of feel. The newer ones are vegan leather, some of them, so it's just what you prefer. Go ahead and let me know if you would like to see a more in-depth dive into their yearly planning system and the prep work that happens before we actually set specific goals, because this is something very unique to this planner, and I'm going to start using it very soon, and we'll put out probably, like I said, a couple of plan with me, so stay tuned for those. And hopefully you stay happy and healthy, and like, subscribe, all the good things. Bye bye.